One.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Hawaiian Affairs hearing. We have with us myself, Senator Shimabukuro. We also have committee member Senator Laura Ocasio. I'm not sure if I see other members yet. They may be on their way. If anybody else is here, let me know. I know we have a vice chair is Jarrett Keoho Kalole. We also have Senator Ihara, who I think cannot make it today, and Senator Favela on our committees. And so without further ado, we had done a hearing last week, this past Tuesday, and unfortunately our floor session was still going on. And so the other senators were unable to participate. And so I wanted to open this time for Q&A for Commissioner Kalekini. And so I see that he's on. And so Senator Ocasio, you had some questions for Commissioner Kalekini. This is our, we're doing that, the decision-making agenda right now.
Aloha.
Yes, so please go ahead and proceed, Senator Ocasio.
Aloha, Commissioner Kalekini. Nice to meet you.
Aloha, Senator. Nice to meet you too.
I did have some questions that actually came from the community, if you don't mind, if I ask you some of them. Just I know you've been as a commissioner now for a while, and there was questions, earlier on, and you had mentioned you were learning learning along the job, and I definitely know how that feels myself. So, and just I guess, can you speak to your maybe what you have learned, some of the things that you have learned along the way, and particularly comfort level with HHCA?
Yeah, sure, Senator. First of all, I thank you, Senator Shimabukuro, for this hearing. So to get to the question, as a background, the first meeting that I attended of the Hawaiian Homes Commission was in December of 2019. So I've been participating as a commissioner for a little over a year, right? And so one of the main things that I've learned in this past year, of course, is the huge challenges that the department has with getting Hawaiians back onto the land, with regards to the wait list. There's several reasons for why that is such. One of the things that come up a lot, of course, is funding, and or the lack thereof. I've also learned that our staff at Department of Hawaiian Homelands does an exemplary job. It's too bad that the COVID, kept us kind of remotely working, but I'm sure that'll end soon. And I personally can, get closer discussions and build better relationships with the staffing folks that have been there for some time. But I can tell that there's dedication in staff. Sometimes there's frustration. I've learned that challenges in the district that I represent, East Hawaii, has been ongoing for years. It's been a challenge for different types of challenges. And it's not different in other areas of the state, as far as the Department of Homelands, Hawaiian Homelands. There's different challenges on different islands that seem to be, that takes a lot of time to address, for various reasons. A lot of folks need help. They reach out, and there's lots of activities that are not proper and maybe illegal, and the department, is trying what appears to be our best with the resources we have. It appears to me that outer islands have an even larger challenge with no staff, or very, very minimal staff. Most of the times we have to send personnel from Oahu to come on and address certain issues. And it takes time, and beneficiaries, they get frustrated with that. And I understand, learning to understand why frustrations can be so high. And maybe what I've learned is all seems to be but negative. There's a lot of good stuff too. I mean, I've been to some of the association meetings, some of the neighborhood watch meetings, and there's some great stuff going on, and very, very committed, dedicated beneficiaries that look out for each other.
Mhm.
That's what I'd like to share, what I've learned so far.
Thank you. That could lead into two other questions. Again, coming from the beneficiaries. One was but it kind of relates to what you had just mentioned. Since being appointed and confirmed to the DHHL Commission, how and when have you reached out to East Hawaii associations to gather information or insight to any of the decisions that are being made during commission meetings?
So what I try to do is at least stay in very close contact with the district manager, the East Hawaii district manager, and we try to get regular meetings to find out what's going on in the East Hawaii and the challenges and concerns that is across the district. But in addition to that, I've reached out to members from different associations just to see how things are going. I've had discussions with the Pane'ewa Hawaiian Homes Commission, Community Association. I've had some small discussions, with the COVID. We've been kind of back offish. The one association that's very active that I've gone to a few of their meetings, several of them, is the Pane'ewa Farm Lots,
Mhm.
with I think the leader is Liz Masaoka. There. So they're very active. They're very outreach. They reach out to me, and I, like I said, I make every effort. I've gone to the last several of them. They have it quarterly, right? But the last time I've had in-person meeting was before COVID.
Mhm. Yeah. Keaukaha Community Association, to my knowledge, meets once a month via Zoom and has been consistent throughout COVID. Have you attended any of their meetings?
I haven't attended any of the Keaukaha one. I know they have their meetings every third Wednesday. I know Uncle Pat had mentioned that to me, but no, I haven't. But
Is
that's something.
there a reason for that, or?
No particular reason. He did mention Uncle Pat mentioned when I did attend in person that he liked to see it maybe once a quarter or so, but no, I haven't. There's been other areas that have reached out to me and kept me very involved in what's going on and trying to work things out with department.
So that leads to the next question. Similar, it's a perfect segue. The question that was again posed by beneficiaries: Have you held any meetings with beneficiaries in East Hawaii regarding issues that they are facing? And what have you found are their greatest concerns?
So I've had some. I've, for example, if we start down south, which is pastoral. It's not leased, but they have right of entries there. I mean, there's challenges amongst the folks there on getting water, right? So there's projects that the department has that's initiated, that's scheduled to be implemented, and with cattle and with disagreements between different folks that have leases there. That's in Ka'u. I've also there's a lot of concern in Pane'ewa farm lots, with folks in the neighborhood that are concerned for safety because residents there are causing trouble. so I've actually reached out with the police department and also with the East Hawaii office manager. But that's, it's been, you get it every week or very frequently for some period of time, and then there's a downturn. But there was a concern with like 2 sons of a lessee, and so yeah, I've been very involved in them, whether it's by phone or by email. And then there's also some concerns in King's Landing, for example, right? Well, that's a big one. So we in the department, we've got a permitted informational group that's set up that's going to kick off, reviewing what's going on in King's Landing. There's a lot of challenges in King's Landing, even to the point where there has been some physical and property threats that we need to address. So we got that. Maku'u Homestead Farmers Association there. One of the big issues was illegal use of the Hawaiian homelands for cars, and I mean, the department hauled out, I think, like 600 vehicles or something, or 306. Massive amount. It's crazy, but wherever possible, yeah, I if people reach out to me, I'll definitely get back with them. And the folks that have been reaching out to me have kept me pretty, you know, keep me busy, which is fine, but there is room that I can go reach out to others that doesn't necessarily reach out to me on a regular basis.
Can you speak to any specific concerns that Keaukaha Community Association is having right now, and what are some of their priority concerns?
No, I don't. I mean, I haven't talked with Uncle Pat and his group for some time now.
Okay.
So I don't want to, yeah, I can't say anything.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Another comes, this also same, it's from a beneficiary. So it is applicable though. The question is, who do you serve as a commissioner?
Oh, this is definitely for the beneficiaries.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just, I figured that was an easy answer for you, but I figure just out of due diligence, I would ask. You mentioned in your responses to those, those questions posed in the testimony. Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing, about your background and such. I really appreciated to read it. And in response, there was one that says, in response to what your vision and goals for the department in the next 4 years, you do mention fiscal responsibility, reduce the wait list, improve internal process for beneficiary support, and overall vision is something you're committed to, working closely on with fellow commissioners and the department. And I guess I was wondering if there are like specific action items or benchmarks that you have in mind, or that that your folks are working with, specifically you, in terms of connecting to those beneficiaries that you serve, and what action items and benchmarks can be used to accomplish and evaluate the department and the agency's progress towards these goals.
I mean, the most obvious one, is getting folks off the wait list, right? But it's such a daunting task in my observation. That's the main one. I know that there are several initiatives at several different associations looking to improve on what they have in terms of like a well-being, a health or well-being center. Paneva has that. Both the farm lots and Hawaiian community, Hawaiian homes, the community association, they talked about building Kamoleao, for example, which is well-being, a health center and learning center. So does Maku'u. But again, that all those initiatives take money, and that's one of the main challenges. So the fiscal responsibility part, I think, is first and foremost taking care of the department as it is, right? And then looking at ways to, to expand on that. That's a huge challenge, and it's not going to go away. So.
Yeah, it is, especially with the fiscal responsibility and the state's fiduciary responsibility to provide that funding.
That and the fact that where the economy's at, and going to take time to rebound, and we talk about short staff and it takes a long time to address issues. I mean, it's all meshed together in some form or fashion.
If we talk about the process for becoming a commissioner, I know I just went through a process to be appointed as well.
Yes.
But there was a process to it, and the process is, basically policy with the Democratic Party as to what is kind of a fair and equitable way to get the community involved in pre-vetting candidates, right? And then they whittle it down. There's officers within that organization, and so I'm just posing to you questions that would be similar. What do you see as the most beneficial process for choosing commissioners for Hawaiian lands or DHHL?
Yes. So the process I follow, right, is so I'll give you the background on how I actually signed up and showed interest in being a commissioner. Is I have an acquaintance from West Hawaii, and whom I've worked with on for different jobs or different. I am involved quite a bit in business organizations across the island to help better the economy and whatnot of Hawaii Island. And so an acquaintance from West Hawaii actually reached out and asked, "Hey, Mike, have you ever considered or would be interested in, serving on a Hawaiian Homes Commission?" And I'm like, "No, I never gave it great thought or deep thought, but I know the two previous commissions personally. The commissioner prior to me was Wally Ishibashi, and I know him very well from being in the business community, um, and so I knew him very very well for some time, and then also the commissioner prior to Wally was Ian Liloy, right? And so Ian and I go way back to high school, so I knew him from high school. And so when the colleague from West Hawaii said, "Hey, we consider this," I said, "No, but I mean, I'll think about it." And one of the thoughts were that, East Hawaii hadn't had a commissioner for some extended period of time. And so I reached out to Wally, I talked to him, and he said, "Oh, yeah," he gave me his input and feedback about being a commissioner, all the big challenges. I did the same thing with Ian Liloy. Others who found out that I was considering to be a commissioner, reached out and gave me their thoughts, from county council members to just folks in the community. But, in the end, I submitted my resume online, and, the process is that the governor chooses which applicant, and that's how it ended up where I became on. So I mean, that's the process as I understand it. So if you're asking, well, how best could it be that the perhaps the process could be amended. Some folks even in the community, when I first got confirmed the first time, folks that I know for many years told me that they're not going to support my nomination, and the reason being is because they felt they had, well, not they felt, they said they had other individuals that they wanted to be as a commissioner. so I respected that, and that could be something that could be maybe added into the process. But I don't know if it would take legislative process to do such thing. But you know, that's the ultimate, is getting the beneficiaries involved.
Yeah, the question comes from just the idea of thinking in the conversations that I've been having with many beneficiaries is, how to get, if the commissioners serve the beneficiaries, how to incorporate beneficiary voice in the choosing process. And I think that was, and when I read testimony from your past nomination, that was a big, a big call out from Kilkaha was to have a process where the beneficiaries and those in the homestead associations put up names, and you may be one of them, right? Or not you, because you're here, but I mean, you could have been one of them, for example, and then there's a process to go through the vetting of the community so that there's voice. And I guess my big part of that question is just thinking of the ideas of self-determination and again, going back to what that means and how is it self-determined if it's not determined by the beneficiaries, or at least they don't have. What I continue to find in the community is that they don't feel like they have a voice in this process. And so just was wondering if you had ideas for how to improve that process.
I would agree with you in terms of what beneficiaries feel about not having a voice. I hear that. And I can see that. I mean, I've seen actions that have taken place that beneficiaries could rightfully say, hey, we haven't been involved in it, consultation, etc. So I think that maybe you can help out that process. Being from East Hawaii, you could, work with governor's administration, whoever the governor is, and talk to the governor, about getting beneficiaries more involved in the process for naming commissioners.
Yes, that's a good one. I was thinking the same thing. So you answered that one. But what is there anything that you feel like you can do in terms of contributing to that, or make it, or not so much the process of nominating even, but what are you specifically doing to make sure that beneficiary voices are heard?
The key there is like, I think we've been discussing, and in some areas, in areas where like I say I can do more, is really reaching out and communicating with folks from all the associations. That's to me the key.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll yield at this time. Thank you for allowing me to continue. Maybe others have questions. My apologies for taking so long.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, Chair, I have a question.
Okay, sure, Vice Chair.
Yeah, hi, aloha, Mike. Thank you for your sincere responses to those questions. In reference to this discussion about beneficiaries feeling included, I'm still really concerned about the discussions that we've had in relation to prior bills about the admitted lack of ability for the department to reach out to the applicants. And the fact that when beneficiary consultation is done on matters, that the individuals on the waitlist really have no meaningful part in that beneficiary consultation. So I know just in response to this question about engagement with the homestead associations that rightly look to you as the East Hawaii Commissioner for feedback and as a voice representing that area. I'm wondering what you can do to reach out to Hawaiians in the East Hawaii region who are waiting on the wait list, and what can be done there to foster better engagement in that segment of the community, because those guys are beneficiaries too. men and women.
Right. No, that's a very good question. I've never given a lot of thought about the folks that are on the wait list, except that there is this huge wait list. But this being the 100th year of the Hawaiian Homes Act, and the department planning to do a lot of events and outreach, I think is a great opportunity to reach out to the waitlisters only, and see what we can do to get feedback from them. I'm sure we do a lot of communication with the waitlisters, because the department does send out a lot of communications, but more so maybe we can emphasize this, because we have a pretty big initiative for the year to celebrate the 100th anniversary. So it comes down, Senator, it comes down again to outreach, whether it's the folks that are already lessees, the beneficiaries on the land, and probably more so with the ones that are on wait lists, because they're not on the land.
Yeah, I agree. I think more can be done. More should be done by us on the legislative side, just to be fair and accountable. But particularly the waitlist community on Hawaii Island, I think they deserve as much engagement from their East Hawaii commissioner as the beneficiaries do. And there's, as we can all agree, I guess there's work that can be done there as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's the only question I have for now. I'll yield back to the senator from Hawaii Island.
Yes, Senator Costa, if you had further questions. Or you don't no other questions?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
It's good. If you have anything, or I don't know if
Okay.
Senator Favella's here.
Okay, in that case, I think at this point, unless the committee members have any other concerns, I was going to recess for decision-making on our decision-making agenda, and then we'll come back and hear the resolutions that we have on our other 1 p.m. agenda. Okay, is that okay with the committee members? Okay, so we're going to recess for decision-making.
Well, wait, Chair.
Sorry, yes.
Are the other commissioners here?
No, I don't believe any other commissioners are here. I'm sorry, I apologize. Do you have questions for some of them? But yeah, sorry, I just asked.
That's okay.
Right, Senator, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So on the recess, do I wait, or?
I think yes. If you can wait, that would be good. Because sometimes there's even questions there may be questions during voting. So if you don't mind.
I will.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to recess for decision making. Okay, we're reconvening for decision making. This is on our DM agenda. We're going to start with GM 578. This is for Dennis Neves, Commissioner for Hawaiian Homes. I'm going to recommend that we do advise and consent to Commissioner Neves. So voting commission yes on that. So any discussion? Okay. Okay, seeing none, any discussion on Commissioner Neves? Not. Vice Chair, could you take the vote, please?
Members voting on Governor's Message 578, the recommendation is to advise and consent to the nomination. Chair Shimabukuro.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Oh, Ole. Oh, I'm sorry. 578, yes, we're on?
Yes, 578, sorry.
Yeah.
GM 578.
Oh, Ole.
No vote for Senator Ocasio. Senator Ihara is excused. Senator Favela.
No.
Chair recommendation is not adopted.
Thank you. GM 576, this is for the Commissioner David Ka'apu for the Hawaiian Homes Commission. Recommendation is to advise and consent. Any discussion? Okay, then Vice Chair, do the vote, please.
Members voting on GM 576. Recommendation is to advise and consent to the nomination. Chair Shimabukuro.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Reservation.
Senator Ihara is excused. Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Chair recommendation adopted.
Thank you. GM 577, this is for Hawaiian Homes Commissioner Michael Kalekini. Recommendation is to advise and consent. Any discussion? I apologize. Any discussion? Okay, Vice Chair for the vote.
Members voting on GM 577, the recommendation is to advise and consent to the nomination. Chair Shimabukuro.
Reservations?
Reservations, Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Aole.
Senator Ihara is excused. Senator Favela.
No.
Chair, your recommendation is not adopted.
Okay. And then SCR 30 and SR 19, recommendation is to pass with technical amendments and then to summarize DHHL's testimony in the committee report. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SCR 30, passing with amendments, noting the excused absence of Senator Ihara, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Chair, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you so much. So now we're going to gavel out of that agenda and gavel into our other 1 p.m. agenda. We have 3 resolutions on this, and we're going to start with SCR 50.
You know what? I wasn't clear that were we voting on both the SR and the SCR?
Oh, yes. Yes, that last one was on both. For the SCR 30 and I'm sorry. I think it was SCR 30 and SR 19. I apologize.
Alyssa, was that good, or do we need to vote on the SR?
Can you take a vote on the SR, please, Senator?
Okay, I apologize. Yeah. Okay, so SR 19 recommendation is to pass with technical amendments.
Okay, members voting on SR 19, noting the excused absence of Senator Ihara, members, are there any reservations or opposition? Seeing none, Chair, recommendation adopted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, committee. I apologize. Okay, so we're going to gavel out of that agenda and gavel into our other 1 p.m. agenda. We have 3 resolutions. Start with the SCR 55, SR 37. First up, we have the Ahamoku Advisory Committee in support. If they're here. Okay, then next we have DLNR with comments. And thank you, Mr. Lemo. I apologize to keep you waiting so long. If Sam Lemo's still here. Hi, hello, Sam.
No worries. No worries. You saw our comments.
Okay, you gonna stand on your testimony then?
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much. Okay, and I think that was all we had for testifiers, other than there was written testimony as well. Members, any questions? Okay, nope. Okay, seeing none, then we're going to move on to the next.
I do have a question for
Oh, yes, Vice Chair Keokalole.
Sam, can you help me understand the process that an individual or a community hui would undertake with your office in order to pursue these types of activities?
Yeah, with traditional Hawaiian farming,
right?
Sort of, yeah. Well, just real briefly, I just want to say that, you know, if you're talking about you know, traditional kalo and those types of things that have historically occurred on the property, then, you know, we're able to accommodate those types of uses pretty easily. In fact, you know, we can actually work with them to allow them to do that without really going through a lot of permitting requirements. If you're just doing farming on conservation land, whether you're Native Hawaiian or not, or whether it's Native Hawaiian farming or contemporary farming, then it's a permit process, typically that requires an application to the land board and an environmental document.
So I guess what type of environmental document and I guess just to be specific for help, you know, in my district, up Mauka in Haiku, in Luluku, most of the Mauka areas, all the way up to the base of the Ko'olau, we know that the Lo'i terraces are still there.
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of cases, it's just a matter of chopping down the trees and digging them out.
Yeah.
And so there have been groups that have come forward and asked to work with the department to take Kuleana over those areas. And in consultation with the community, I guess I'm wondering what type of other regulatory actions can potentially be triggered through those processes.
Sure.
Whether some sort of process needs to be formalized.
Yeah. Yeah, on Molokai, and even in that area, we've actually allowed people to go in and reestablish the farming systems. The issue comes down to water sometimes, you know. Do they have adequate water? Is there an existing water source? What do they have to do to get water into the system? Do they have a license or a permit for the water? So there are cases for, you know, kalo and stuff where it could involve actions needed through the Water Commission. And unfortunately, I can't speak for Kaleo with regards to, you know, those types of things. But if it comes to simply the conservation district regulations, and you're talking about traditional kalo, reestablishing traditional kalo, we've generally worked with people to allow them to do that, you know, you know, as long as it's done responsibly and not like, it's not like someone coming in and saying, you know, I want to open up, you know, I want to grow coconuts here or something, you know what I mean, or whatever. So if it's really truly a reestablishment of the historical traditional farming system, then actually we can work with that. But I can't speak for Water Commission. Yeah, so you'd have to ask Kaleo about that particular issue.
Okay, thank you. You know, this resolution is in part intended to start this conversation because it does seem to me like, especially when you start to get into the water conversation, there are multiple administrative regimes that groups potentially need to navigate. And so like you did really with the fish ponds.
Correct.
Some sort of community engaged process to make all of those applications a little bit easier to navigate for the folks who want to just get in the ground might be.
And I want to help you guys with that. You know, my only concern, since you're all captive audience, is anytime you're talking about loosening up regulations, you don't want to have unintended consequences. I think community fish pond restoration was pretty straightforward. But when you get into broad application of relaxing regulations for conservation lands, it starts to get the attention of developers and that type of thing. How can I use this type of loophole, you know? So those are some of the things that I worry about.
You know, so noted. And I think that's why the appropriate first step on this legislatively was a resolution.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, then let's move on to our second resolution, SCR 54, SR 36. And for this, let's see, I don't think we had any live testifiers, but we have DHHL with comments, Ikea Blackmore with support. Did I miss anyone? DHHL, did you want to comment on SCR 54, SR 36?
No, just that we stand on our comments.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you. Any questions, members? Okay, then let's move on to our last resolution, SR 59, SR 41. On this, yes, we owe DHHL. Let's see.
Again, Chair, we stand on our comments.
Thank you so much. And then Kaikia Blackmore, Neighborhood Place of Puna in support. Okay, members, any questions on the last resolution?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, Senator Bella.
Chair, by having problems with my button here.
No
Just a couple of things. I mean, just to Hawaiian Homes. What would be the reason that you guys are not for the resolution?
Sorry, Senator Favela, we provided comments. We're having trouble with our buttons too.
Yeah,
we provided comments that we're already doing a lot of these things right now. So We appreciate the intent, but we're already doing many of the things that it calls for.
Mahalo.
Okay. Other questions, discussion? Okay, then let's recess for decision making for the breakout room.
Hi, Senator.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so we're going to reconvene for decision making. So first up, we have SCR 55 and SR 37. Recommendation is to pass with an amendments that the Ahamoku Advisory Committee recommended in their testimony, as well as technical amendments. Any discussion? And we're going to vote on both SCR 55 and SR 37 at the same time. Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair, take the vote, please.
Members voting on SCR 55 and SR 37, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the excused absence of Senator Ihara, members, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much. SCR 54 and SR 36, recommendation is to pass with amendments. DHHL mentioned a numerical error in their testimony. Technical, I wanted to adopt their correction. And also want to describe, there's a table that's referenced in the resolution. Want to add more description of what that table is, and as well as technical amendments. Any discussion? Okay, then Vice Chair.
Members voting on SCR 54 and SR 36, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the 4 members present, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Chair, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you. And the last resolution, SCR 59, SR 41, recommendation is to pass with technical amendments. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members voting on SCR 59 and SR 41, the recommendation is to pass with amendments. Noting the 4 members present, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Seeing none, Chair, recommendation adopted.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll see you again on Tuesday with Island Burial Council nominees and probably maybe some bills and resolutions as well on Tuesday. But thank you so much. We're adjourned.